So in this video, I'm going to provide you a quick overview of working with Procreate Dreams. And to do that, I'm going to animate a couple of frames from this Frosty the Snowman clip that I'll show now.
Happy birthday!
Now, due to the length and how time consuming this is, I won't be able to animate the whole thing or show the entire process. But I will show several frames, and that'll include things like animation, drawing, squash and stretch, some of the transform controls and things like that. So I thought this would be a good starting point. So hope you found this video helpful. If so, please like and subscribe, and let's get started. So here I'm in Procreate Dreams, and this is the theater. And if I want to start a new project, I just hit the plus symbol here. So this initially gives you some options on what size your animation will be. So I'm going to choose widescreen, and if I click 4K, I can change the resolution. If I click these three dots here, I can change the frames per second and the duration. So I'm going to hit draw to get started. So this is what an initial Procreate Dreams project looks like. So this is our play button to play the timeline. This is the record button to record performance animation. Here's a stage edit mode. Here's the draw mode, which we're currently in. And if I click on that, you can see nothing selected. And then here's the plus symbol, which is to bring in tracks, photos, videos, text, or files. So down here is our timeline, and we currently have one track that's created when we create the new project, and I don't really have anything on it at the moment. So you see this white line right here, I can grab that and bring it down, and now I'm in Flipbook mode. You see that here, this is where our frames are in the track we're working on. So I can bring that over. If you grab it and bring it down, it'll bring us back. If I go to Dreams 3, this is the name of the project. I click on that, you can change some properties here. So when you set up the project initially, you can still change those things here, frames per second, duration, resolution. You can set how the playback mode works, one shot, ping pong, or loop. Loop, it just goes to the end and then starts back at the beginning. Ping pong goes to the end, comes back to the front, goes in, comes back. And then one shot. Share controls how you export the video. Here's some preferences you can look at. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to click done. I didn't make any changes to that. Then if I click this button here, it takes me back to the theater. Okay, I'm currently not in any mode, so I'm going to select draw mode again. I'm going to bring this down to go into Flipbook mode. I'm going to drag this over here. So I'm going to click on my color up here, and I'm going to choose black. So here I have my layers. And then I have my erase tool, my smudge tool, and my brush. If I click on brush, you can see I can choose a lot of the brushes you see similar to Procreate. The only issue is if I click on one of these, I don't really have any functions. So I'm assuming that'll come in later iterations of Procreate Dreams. However, right now you can't really change things like stabilization and things like that. Although there is a hack for adding stabilization to your brush, which is to set the stabilization in Procreate and then drag it over into Procreate Dreams. And I did a video on that. So that is a workaround. So for this one, I want to choose inking and then technical pen and close that. So one issue with Procreate Dreams right now is this animation, I would want the line work on one layer and then the color work on another layer. So if I pull out of Flipbook, I have one track and then I have layers. So I can add multiple layers to that one track. However, layers at the moment is limited. So if I go to the right, it only allows me to clear a layer. If I go to the left, I can't do anything. And if I click on in, you see I can change the opacity and the blending mode, and I can toggle it on and off. Now the problem with this is I can't move the layers. So if I want to draw on one layer and then color on another layer, I'm going to have to plan ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and plus on this. So now I've got two layers, and I'm looking at the drawing, and I only need two layers, one for the line art and one for the color art. So before I get started, I did want to separate him into a couple of different layers. So I think I want a layer for the hat and possibly the flower on the hat, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the pipe, and the body. So I need 7 new tracks for that. So I'm going to click on this track and hold, and here I can duplicate the track. So see, I've got the new track, and I'm duplicating the track rather than creating a new track, which I could do over here, add track. I want to duplicate that track because I've already set up the layers for this, so then I won't have to do that again. So I've got 2 tracks now, I need 7, so I'm going to quickly duplicate these. Okay, there's my 7 tracks, and I want to put them on different tracks because I want to move those separately. So I'm going to click on the first track and rename it and change that to flower. Hit done. And I'll go through these and name them real quickly. Okay, I've realized the pipe is just above the body. But if you look at the animation, and I'll show this real quick.
Happy birthday!
The pipe is in front of everything else. So when he moves, the pipe is crossing the face. So I need the pipe higher up in the layer order. So to do that, I'm going to grab it, hold it with my finger, and bring it up. So I'm going to click on body, and I'm going to drag this down to go back into Flipbook mode. I'm going to drag this over here. So I'm going to choose my line color, which will be black. I'm going to go to my layers and make sure I got the top layer selected. So I'm going to draw the first frame of his body. And again, I'm using the inking tool technical pen. So actually his body is more of a gray. So let me choose that. So I feel like he should be bigger. So I'm going to leave Flipbook mode. I'm going to turn off draw mode and I'll click on him, and you see now I have this bounding box. If I drag here, I can expand it, bring it down. I also think he's a little off on his center, so I'm going to click on this, and you see I get this little round area. I can use that to kind of turn him. I may redraw this line over here, so let me go back to Flipbook mode. So I'm going to turn on draw mode. Okay, that looks good, and you can see this gray line here. That's our frame, so anything outside of that won't be seen. So I want to change the background color so he'll pop a little more off of that and I can see my colors. So I'm going to click on the timer here. And you can see I can change my background color. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to change it to more of a, this one's more of a pink. Okay, so I'm going to come back out of that. So I'm going to go up here to my layers palette and click on layer, and I'm going to color in the body. So I'm going to choose a white. So I've got layer selected. I'm going to bring the flipbook up here. I'm going to increase the size of this. Actually, I may change my brush. So let me try syrup. Yeah, so I need something a little bigger. And I could have tried to drag the color down and fill it that way, but since I didn't close the drawing, I don't think that would have worked. So I'm going to go to erase, kind of clean this up. If you need to undo something, you can use 2 fingers, or if you need to redo it, you can tap and use 3. See, I pinched and it'll reset it. Okay, so there's our first frame. So I'm going to come out of flipbook mode, and I'm going to select the mouth. And you don't have to be in flipbook mode, so I can draw from here if I want. And I think this will be a black. That's too big. Let me change over to technical pen. Now I'll go to the nose. I'll go to layers, make sure I have that top layer selected, and I'm going to choose a dark red. You don't go to my layers, I'm going to pick the layer beneath that, change it. So I'll select this color by holding down and picking it. I'm going to go back to my top layer and I'm going to decrease the size of my brush. And he's got just a little bit of line work here. Okay, now I'm going to go to my eyes layer, choose black. Now, one thing to note about this is there's currently no shape tools, so you don't have like circles or things like that. So you will have to freehand that kind of stuff. And you can see my line work is very shaky. Now this, since I've closed this, I can drag this down and fill those. Clean this up a bit. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the top layer. I'm going to go to flipbook mode. I'll increase the size of the brush just a bit. If I didn't cover it, this is your brush size here. And this is the opacity here. But I want everything to be solid, so my opacity is at 100%. Now, one thing that helps drawing a straight line sometimes is overlapping. So if I go up here and just quickly do that, you can see my line's a lot smoother because I did it fast. And then I can just overlap that. I think I need more of a curve though. And go to the erase tool and clean this up. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my back layer. Let me go to syrup. Sometimes you try to not be messy, but it's actually quicker sometimes to be messy and then to clean it up. Now I'll go in and clean this up. I can see if I go to this top layer, the line work, if I look at the original animation, I can see this kind of tapers off right here. So let me delete this and then kind of taper it off. Okay, I think the last thing I need to do, so if I click on plus, it does go above that. So just be aware that you can't add them like that and it will go to the top depending on which layer you have selected. So you just can't rearrange them once you've established them. So now I want to go in and add the band on a separate layer. Okay, I want to go back to my timeline, select the flower, go back to Flipbook. So for this, I want to do the opposite. Since this is all black and I can't see my line work, I want to draw the colors first and then do the line work on top of those. Okay, I think that looks good. So let me go back to my top layer. Let me change this to black and draw in those edges. I still need to do the pipe. So let me exit Flipbook mode, select the pipe layer. Now that's a black. So before I start, I want to add another layer because I want that to be the colors on the pipe. So I want to select black, make sure I have the technical pen, select my layers, layer 1. So this is called overshooting the line. And again, I can get a little bit smoother line work if I can do that. So I'm going to exit Flipbook mode and I'm going to come out of draw mode, select that, and I'm going to move it. Okay, you can see when I grab it and scale it, it's scaling from down here because my anchor points have changed. So if I click these 3 buttons and I select edit anchor, you can see it's down here. So I'm going to bring it up here to the middle of the pipe and click done. Now it scales from the middle of the pipe. So now I want to go back to draw mode, go back to Flipbook. I'll go out of draw mode, click on the pipe, click on this to give me that little circle. I want to rotate this a bit, grab it, bring it down, rotate a little bit more. Okay, let me go back to draw mode, eraser, let me erase that edge. Okay, now I want to go to layers, click on the bottom layer, and I'll color this in because I want the textures to be on top of that. So let me pick a brown. I'm going to change my color to more of a brown. Also, I want to go to his neck. So I'm going to go out of Flipbook mode, go to body, go back into Flipbook mode, and his line work tapers at the end. So let me make sure I'm on the right layer. I'm going to erase this a little bit. Now this is subtle, but it definitely adds to the look. So I'm going to decrease this. Okay, I think that looks a little better. So let me go back to properties. So I'm going to change the duration to 6 seconds because I want to hold it a little bit for the animation. So click done. Now you can see that shortened that. So if I click on this edge and hold it, you can see I can grab this. I get that edge highlighted red. So I'm going to drag this in. So I'm going to bring it all the way to the end so it's 1 frame. Okay, so that's 1 frame. So I want it for 4. So I'm going to see it'll kind of pop out. So 3, 4. So I'm going to do that for the rest of them. So I'm going to speed this up and I'll be right back. So now all these are 4 frames long. So I'm going to bring the playhead over. So actually the body is held for 8 frames. The eyes start moving first. So let me bring this in, resize it. So that's 1 frame, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was 1 extra. Okay, so to go along with the animation, I'm going to change the eyes first. Let me see what frame those start to change. Okay, what happens next is his eyes start to go gray as the new eyes come in. So I'm actually going to click plus, add a new track. So that'll be our new eyes. And I'm going to draw the new eyes. So I'm going to go to Flipbook mode. Okay, so they kind of come under the hat. I'm actually going to go out of Flipbook mode. I'm going to go to the first eyes. I'm going to extend those out to 8. I'm going to go to opacity. And I'm going to reduce that so I can see the new eyes. So now we'll click on the new eyes track. I'm going to go back to Flipbook mode, scroll in. So I'm going to draw something just to get something on here. I'm going to go to layers, hit plus. So this is my top layer, my bottom layer. Actually going to hit plus again. So now I've got 3 layers, one for the white background, one for the pupils, and one for the outline. So I'll go back to this one, touch it, hit clear. So now I've cleared that line. So I'll go to the top layer. I'm sure I got technical pen, and we'll draw in the new eyes. They actually are behind the nose a little bit. So let me go back to Flipbook mode. I'm going to click on the nose and drag it up so that it's in front of the eyes. I'll go back to Flipbook mode. Trim on the top layer. So now I'm going to go to my bottom layer and choose a white. Change my pen to 0. Okay, I'm going to go to the middle layer, change this to black. Okay, let me exit Flipbook mode. Let me go back to the nose. Go to layers, increase the opacity there, increase the opacity of the bottom. Okay, as pupils start to move on frame 18, so I'm going to pull everything out. Okay, so if I play this, as soon as his eyes change, his pupils start to move. So now I'm thinking I want to add his pupils to a different layer. So I am going to click on the pupils, and I'm going to go into draw mode. I'm going to go into layers. Here's his pupils. So I'll click on that, and I'm going to bring the opacity down. Then we'll add a new track. And I'll bring this down to here, and I'm going to scroll in, and I'll make sure I got black, and I'm on my technical pen. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my original layer. I'm going to click on this and just turn it off. So now I have my pupils on a different layer. So I'm going to slide that down. And if I scroll through this, you can see them start to open. And as soon as they do that, I'm going to bring them down. I'm going to turn off drawing. I'm going to click on the pupils, click here, and click move. See, it created a keyframe at the beginning, so it'll hold that until here. And then I'm going to come out to here and pull those down. I think that's a little quick, so I'm going to grab that keyframe and slide it down. Let's see what this looks like. feel like it's holding longer than that on the original. I also think they come up a little bit. So I'm going to go here. And we'll bring them up a little. So you can see them pop up and then come down. So we'll play that. I think it's too fast. I'm going to bring that keyframe out a bit and bring this one out a bit. So I think it needs to come up so the eyes come up, and I want them to hold for a second. So I'm going to click on this keyframe. So I'm going to click on this keyframe and delete it. Now with this one here, you see they pop up. I'm going to have it hold there. Add a keyframe by clicking that, add another keyframe, and then bring those eyes down. Okay, let me see what this looks like. Okay, I think that looks good. Okay, now I want to do the squash and stretch on his body. So I'm going to grab this frame, and I want to do it about the time his eyes go down. Actually, I want to do it right here where his eyes are changing. So I'll click on this to move. I want to add move and scale, and that gave me a keyframe. And then I want to squash that body a bit and bring it out. So you can see what that looks like. So now I go up each frame, add a move and scale to each one. So you can see the keyframes here. And I'll go up through all my layers, and I want to move that information down just a bit. So the movement is holding until 7. And then on 8, everything comes down. Okay, let me play this. So you can see how that looks. Now the hat's got something going on with it. So let me stop this and go back to the hat. I'm going to select this keyframe and delete it. And then you can see the hat moves like it's supposed to. And I'm going to go to the timer and turn on Edit Onion Skinning. And for my backwards, I'm going to turn that to red. And for my forwards, I'm going to turn that to blue. Then I'm going to come out of this and turn on Onion Skinning. Then I'm going to turn on Draw Mode. And I'm going to turn Flipbooks on. And I'm going to come back up to this and look at it. Okay, so I'm going to come back to the time frame. I'm going to drag this down, which gets me in keyframe mode. I'm going to click that to create a keyframe. Then I'll click on him, and I'm going to bring him back up. And I want to scale him back up. Now you can see he goes down, he comes back up. Let me bring him up just a little bit more. Play this. Okay, so now I want to go through every one of these and do the same thing. So I'm going to click on this one, bring this down, click that to add a keyframe, scroll in, bring the mouth back up. Okay, let's see what this looks like. I think that's pretty good. Obviously the hat's not where it needs to be. So I'm going to scroll in. So it's good here, it's good here. I'm going to click on it, bring it up. I'm going to click on the flower, bring it up. Hat may be too high. Okay, you can see right here the eyes aren't moving down with him. So we'll go to 10. Click on that keyframe. Scroll in. I'm going to drag those down. You know, until I want to change them, until I want to move the pupils, I think I'd like to have these grouped together. So let me see if I can do that. I got all those selected. I'm going to click and hold and hit group. Now I've got those grouped. Now I can set separate keyframes for that. Okay, so I got my keyframe there. I'm going to go up here and turn off onion skinning. Now here's where he stops. So I'm going to grab that and bring it down. Okay, then I'll grab these and bring them up. I'm going to do the same for his nose, his mouth. So see that I didn't have a keyframe there. So I need to come, so he comes down, then he goes back up. And I'll grab the pipe. And then we'll play through this. Can you see how all that's moving together now at the same time to create the motion? He's squishing down, the eyes and all the other pieces are following, but at the same time his eyes are changing from cold to normal eyes and his pupils are going down. So this is just an example of how a very layered animation, while simple, the layers really help add to the realism and the movement. So like if you've got a character doing one thing, you may want to look at different ways to incorporate other actions to sell the movement. I actually want to change the eyes a little bit. So here he's doing that. So I actually want the eyes to not turn into real eyes until that point. So I'm going to bring this over. So that's how I can move keyframes around. So this one I'm going to click and hold and add filter, opacity. So now I've got my opacity. I'm going to go back. I'll set the opacity here to 0, and to this one's going to be 1. So about the time he jumps up, I want the eyes to be changed. So I'll click on this opacity, bring it down. So now my movement's still off because the normal eyes, the coal eyes aren't moving. So I'm going to go here, go to the coal eyes. You just come up here. So I'm going to grab those and bring them up. Okay, so let me play through this. So I want to spread that out a bit. So let me scroll in. I'm going to bring that opacity out. Okay, now let's see what this looks like. Okay, I'm going to go to the coal eyes. Let me see where this happens. Here, so I'm going to drag that there. Okay, I think that looks good. It's not as smooth as you would expect, but it is in line with the original animation. So about right there, those pupils need to come down. So I'm going to go into my group, clicking this arrow here. So I can still animate frames within my group. So as soon as his eyes turn to the new eyes, I'm immediately going to want to bring those down. So I'll click a keyframe, then we'll come over, click it to add another keyframe, and then we'll bring this down. Okay, let's play through this now. So I actually want those a little faster. Okay, I'll click and hold on this, and we'll see all ease settings. I'm going to put ease in and out on that. So let's see what this looks like. Still too fast. Let me go in and grab that, bring it over. Yeah, I think that looks good. So the next thing he does is he looks down and everything squashes and his eyes change. Actually, I want to drag all these out a little more. Okay, now that I've got all that dragged out, let me play this. So I want to squish his body once his eyes drop. So they're there. So I'm going to go to the previous keyframe with the body selected and hit the playhead to create the keyframe. Then I'm going to scroll through to where I think I want to squash him, hit the keyframe again. Now we'll bring this down and out. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, I think that looks good. I might have to bring that in a little bit, quicken it up. Okay, so that's at 1. So I'm going to go to the mouth at 1. Bring this down, hit that at a keyframe. Then go to 9. Scroll in, grab it. I'm going to go to the eyes, add a keyframe. I'll come over to 9, slide those down. Add a keyframe for the pupils. Bring those down. So 2, I'm going to go to the nose, bring that down, add a keyframe, then I'll go to 9, bring that down, add a keyframe. I'll go to the pipe, bring that down, add a keyframe, go to 9, keyframe. Okay, the hat's there, I'm going to add a keyframe, bring it over to 9, add a keyframe. You can tell it's adding a keyframe when it turns white. I'll drag that down. There should probably be some squashing in here too, but I'm trying to expedite this a bit. So I'm going to go back to 2 for the flower, bring that down, add a keyframe, 9, add a keyframe. So right here, his eyes turn. They actually change a little bit throughout this animation. So I'm going to click on the white part of his eyes. I'm going to go to Flipbook mode, click the plus and add a new frame. Now I currently have the pupils here. So I am going to go back. I'm going to click on the pupils. See, this drawing doesn't extend. So I'm going to click on the pupils here. And I'm going to select filter, opacity. I'm going to go to the previous frame, add an opacity, leave that at 100, go back to the new one, bring that down to 0. So now if I go through the play, he stops, his eyes disappear here. So I'm going to drag this opacity layer here and here. So now when it hits, they're disappeared. Now I have to come back and adjust this in a second because he does morph to this, but I want to go ahead and get these in now. So I'm going to make sure I select this new frame. Go to draw mode. Okay. I'm going to scroll back. I want to go back to Flipbook mode. Click this, hit a plus symbol. Go back to this, and I want to, you know what, I want to bring this opacity all the way out. So let me see. So when it starts to come down, there, starts to squash. So I'm actually going to drag this frame out, and we'll drag this over. So as he comes down here, I want to add a frame. I'll select these, and I will squash them down a bit. Now they're squashing from the middle, which is not what I want. So I'm going to click on that, hit these 2 dots, select Edit Anchor, and we'll bring that anchor here to the bottom of the eyes. So I go back to my keyframe, select the eyes, and now you can see I'm squashing from the bottom, which is what I want. So I'm going to go to the next one, click them, hit a keyframe, squash them some more. Squash them some more. I'm doing this on every 2 frames and then they're going to disappear. And the new frame will be there. Okay, so right there, I need those to disappear. So I'm going to go to that opacity, bring it over. I'm going to go to this opacity, bring it over. I'm actually going to squash these a bit too. So I'm going to go up here, click that. They're also transforming with the wrong spot, so I'm going to click Edit Anchor, bring that down to here. Then we'll click Done. Then we'll squash that a little bit. So we'll look at these, it's down. So here, I'm going to squash them a bit. Here, I'll squash them a bit. And then they disappear and turn into that. Everything needs to squash as well. So I want to go to where it starts there. Scroll in. So there, and I'll click on the hat. So I want to go back to where it starts there. So I'm going to click a keyframe there. I want to click up here and set Edit Anchor. And we'll bring that anchor there to the bottom of the hat. Click Done. And then we'll scroll out. So I want to make sure I set a keyframe there. Now I'll scroll out to where it stops, right there. Now I'm going to squash that hat down. I'm going to do the same thing to the flower, bring it down, set a keyframe. Then we'll go back to where he's done. And I want to adjust the anchor here. Click Done. Squash this down. So let me play this. Okay, so I've got his eyes and his hat. So we'll come back. Starts here. Click on the nose. Set a keyframe. Scroll out to where he stops. Click on that, set the anchor to the bottom. Click Done. Squash that down a bit. So that's on 9, and that's on 2. So I'm going to go back to the mouth. It's on 2. It's already got a keyframe. So I'm going to come down to 9. Set anchor. I'm going to bring that to the bottom. Done. Change that a little bit. And then all that's left is the pipe. So there's that. Keyframe. I'm going to come over to 9. Change that anchor. Done. Squash it a bit. And I'm going to bring it up. Okay, let me go ahead and play this.
Happy birthday!
Okay, I think that looks good for a first pass. I'm going to end the video here due to the length of time it's taken and how long this video already is going to be. So hope you found this helpful, and I hope it was a good introduction to Procreate Dreams. And I normally wouldn't have shown this animation process due to how time consuming it is, but I thought some people might find it helpful. So if you found it helpful, please like and subscribe and leave a comment below if you've got any questions, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.